Hey everyone. So last night I came on here and there was so much that I wanted to share, but my thoughts were going like a million miles an hour and I wasn't sure where to even begin. So I had to take some time and collect my thoughts. And I'm one of those people that has to write stuff down or I'm going to go off in a million tangents and not get in everything that I want. So if you see me looking away, I'm just trying to stick to my points here. But anyway, like I said last night, I'd been reading through my past journal entries and noticed a common theme running through those over the last couple of years. And so, um, one of those themes being the idea of being in a battle. And where it all seemed to start was about 2 years ago or so, um, when our church had a VBS, and the name of that uh, program that year was called Keepers of the Kingdom. And so it was all about, putting on the armor of God. And so the very first verse, actually, that I had my oldest daughter memorize, she was probably 7 at the time, 6 or 7. And so the very first verse that I had her memorize was the armor of God. And so when the school year started after VBS, we would read that either before walking out the door or on our way to school. And so she had that memorized pretty quickly. But so since that time, since VBS, and just the idea of being in a spiritual battle was just a common thing. And a lot of my writings over the last year and a half of just journaling and writing down my prayers, things like that. And so early on in our foster care and adoption journey, I remember reading the stories of Hannah and Sarah, and those are some of my favorite stories in the Bible. And I just remember trying my hardest to try to cling to the same hope and desperation that those two women had. And of course, as the months go on, it gets kind of harder. Life gets crazier, and it just gets a little bit harder, especially once we started fostering our lives and the lives of each kid that came into our home over those course of those 7 years or so that we did that. Our lives are turned upside down as well as theirs in just a matter of minutes or hours, whenever we'd get that phone call. And so it was so hard to have that hope when all we saw was, how broken the system was, and just feeling so helpless, trying to do our best to advocate for these kids that were in our home, and just trying so hard to not lose hope. And now, as I look back at some of my previous writings and prayers for my girls, now that we've adopted them, as we try to pick up the broken pieces of that loss and feeling rejected by their families. I mean, our girls are 9 and 6, and so but they still know that the pain of that loss, and starting to question why their parents couldn't take care of them, why they couldn't keep them safe. And we're very open and honest with our girls. We don't hide anything from them. So they know from the very beginning, they've known that they were adopted. They know that they have parents out there. Like I think I've mentioned before, how, we will pray for them almost every night when we talk about them. And that's just part of their story, and it's going to be part of their testimony growing up. And so I remember, again, those writings over the last few years. I remember in those prayers for my girls, just praying for the wisdom and the discernment and how to raise them in such a messed up world when they've already gone through so much. And the Lord has just had to remind me over and over again that He created them and He created us to be together for such a time as this, like in Esther. And he has showed me, again, in my writings, there were many times where I'd write about raising up like the next generation of the Esthers and the Deborahs and the Jaels that are going to break off the chains of all the generational curses and things that they have gone through, before even coming into our home. Even our youngest, who we brought home from the hospital, went through a whole lot just in that first month of life. So, just being able to raise up girls that are going to break off, hopefully break off those chains of all the trauma and stuff that they went through. And we just have to survive raising them first. So I hope you find some encouragement in this tonight.